is Stoop. I'm Senior Director at Cloudera. And I'll be talking to you today about embracing the data complexity of healthcare and really to do that in order to deliver that agility, speed, and security that we're all looking for. So I'll be covering a couple of topics, three things. All good things come in threes, right? So I'll start with a little bit of background on Cloudera. Some of you may know us, some of you may not, but I'll talk about who we are, how we work with healthcare, pharma, and life science organizations. Then I'll talk about how a connected ecosystem brings tremendous opportunity for data sharing and agility, but also what you need from it in order to be successful. And then I'll close off with a few examples of those that really took the data by the horns, those customers that we have, the challenges that they solved, and the impacts that that made. So let's jump in and start with that introduction on Cloudera. This is who we are. We're the hybrid data cloud company, and it's we've got a very good reason of doing what we're doing, because it all starts with a fundamental belief that with your data, you can do anything. And the key point here that this is your data, and you stay in control of that data at all times. And with our technology, we empower people, we teach you how to use your data in order to service your customers better, to optimize your business, and to also protect it. And we help with cloud native services that make it easier to manage and secure the entire data lifecycle, all the way from ingestion of data to experimentation, from the edge to AI, and do that in any cloud or data center. And that's why we call ourselves a data cloud for your company. And this is it. That hybrid data cloud platform that delivers an integrated suite of secure data service. So, but let's unpack that a little bit. Right? If you think about driving value and insight from your data to develop new medicines, to spot and treat diseases, to provide better care, you need more than just a better data warehouse or a snazzier data science tool, right? You need a range of capabilities that starts all the way with data ingestion and carry that data through to artificial intelligence and machine learning and visualize it so you can do something with it. And we provide the integrated suite of data services to do just that. And you can deploy those services there where they are needed. And more, that's really across hybrid and multi-cloud infrastructures. You can manage those data services and deployments from a single pane of glass, and you have a complete overview and control on how data is secured and governed. We work in very regulated and sensitive industry, and you need to keep track of your data and prove you're handling it in line with both industry and data privacy regulation. And we do that with SDX, a shared data experience. We do that across all infrastructures, as I said already, across the whole life cycle. And finally, we're an open platform. Yes, we're based on open source, absolutely, but also based on open frameworks and APIs. So you can integrate our platform with your existing landscape and also benefit from the innovation that open source brings. And we work with customers across industries, but specifically focusing on the healthcare and life sciences ecosystem. We used at 10 of the 10 largest US health plans, 8 of the top 10 hospitals and academic medical centers, they use Cloudera as well. Many of the local, state, and federal agencies, and as do leading customer health and health IT tech companies. 9 out of the 10 largest global biopharma companies. And then there are the things that have not yet included on this. There's the healthcare distributors and the group purchasing organizations, the healthcare retail pharmacies and pharmacy benefit managers, medical device manufacturers, contract research organizations, and global ministries of health. I guess you get the picture. We cover a large range of customers and industries. And the use cases for our customers, specifically in healthcare, are about as varied as you as organizations are varied. Whether it's from drug development to genomics and any other omics for that matter, from supply chain and logistics for healthcare, right through to real world data and clinical trial use cases. Our customers use Cloudera as their trusted data platform to ensure analytical agility and ownership of intellectual property. And from our engagements with this breadth of organizations across the industry, we see trends in data and analytics. So the past few years, they drove a lot of change for us all, to say the least, I guess, right? But certainly in healthcare and life sciences, they drove a lot of change and rethinking around the use of data and technology. We saw an increased need for ever more granular data, which drove demands for better access to unstructured data, for example, having access to historical data and more of it over longer periods of time, being able to do text analytics, and in general, access to larger data sets, because spotting trends and identifying causes often gets easier if you can simply look at more data. And to make data more relevant, the next thing, we started to look at secondary data access, whether that's geocoding, link analysis, behavioral data, environmental data, or social economic data, in order to get better insights from the information we already have. Whole new data sources are emerging, and we're also leveraging them. We're looking at wholly new predictive variables. We have access to open data, open city data, access to telematics, wearable sensors, and all of them connected to 5G and continually making that data available. That's a very different thing as well, dealing with streaming data. And there's a demand to work in the now ever more. Again, back to that real-time and streaming data to, for instance, provide real-time risk analysis. But you need to be able to integrate risk analytical models with the underwriting process. You need to use streaming event information, catastrophe modeling, and perhaps impact analysis. And all that in an ever more complex, interconnected landscape, incorporating, of course, as you would expect, patients and physicians, but also institutions where physicians conduct research and patients are insured. And we also conduct studies where patients and physicians are involved in one country, in another country, with differing regulations around privacy and marketing and production and sales, to patients, to physicians, available through pharmacies, etc., etc. And each of the nodes that you have in this ecosystem, they need ever more data from its connections to drive deeper insight faster, insight relevant to that particular part of the business. So the whole landscape gets ever more connected, all through data. Some of the players, they provide data, some of them use data, and some do both. But all that subject to rules and data privacy regulation. It's no mean feat, right? And how do you get value and insight from all that data? How do you capitalize of that opportunity? So we need to start thinking about how we can connect these individual pools, these ecosystems of data. Just as within a single organization, you need to unlock data from the individual systems and applications it's helping in. And even though you may think about this as different organizations connecting data pools, this is happening inside individual organizations as well. Just thinking about the various data pools that you have available in different departments. You need to start connecting these previously disconnected ecosystems and start sharing that data so you can meet the needs, the demands of this post-pandemic economy in order to innovate and differentiate. But for ecosystems to benefit from that connectedness, to be a good participant, a good citizen, they need to be able to work with or provide a few things that previously may have been rather hard or simply not needed. To establish marketplaces for that data, interfaces, places where there are those that offer data as well as those that consume it. And it all starts with that marketplaces have to be able to cater to rapidly evolving industry business models. If you can do that, it means that both participants and users can roll with the punches. They can make changes as needed to optimize or respond to fast-changing business opportunities and mitigate risk. Data needs are continually evolving as well, and you must be able to deal with that in a marketplace. Not only should you be able to deal with any and all types of structured, unstructured, real-time historical data, you should also be able to meet the needs of the community, surface the right kind of data, and do that, above all, with trust, with confidence. Build confidence in the data that you provide and that you share, or have confidence in the data that you are sharing. Show where it comes from, show its pedigree, if you will. Listen to the community. Without trust, openness, and that confidence, users will stay away. And data marketplaces support these connected ecosystems. Connected systems that by bringing together data from the marketplaces they access can really start to move their business forward. There's ecosystems that focus on connected customers or connected research, sharing data as it is or in an anonymized form, share history, data service providers. Whoopla, sorry, that was one too fast. There's connected assets as well. As you provide more insights into them, you can share your data, you connect it with other sources, you can start to look for new insights like predictive maintenance. And that will have an impact on driving maintenance costs down, for example. There's connected commerce. How can you benefit from or monetize your shared data? And finally, the connected supply chain. Sharing real-time and historical data from the supply chain as it happens, so problems can be avoided and efficiency increased. Think about what we're using in our daily lives. Waze, it shares where traffic jams are. Wouldn't it be great if you have similar kinds of information available in the supply chain? But it's not all plain sailing. It's not just, here's my data source, have at it. You can't just connect it. You can't just connect into a connected ecosystem to a marketplace and have at it. When you use data from connected ecosystems, you should really ask a lot of questions. Where did the data come from? If I share it, where does it go to? Is it or has the data been changed? Is this really the best version of the data? How trustworthy is it? And who actually owns it and is responsible for it? Those are the questions that very quickly come up. So how do you make this successful? What are some of the things that you need to consider in order for this to turn into a success for your organization? So like I said, it really starts with that trust. And the role of the data provider is the bigger one, perhaps, on that front. As they share data across different systems, they have to be clear on what assets they share and the rules that apply to the sharing, to the end users. And like I said before, don't think this is just happening between organizations. I'm sure you recognize the same dynamic between different departments in one organization. You need to make sure that there are very clear rules about who can see what data, in which format, throughout the whole life cycle. And being able to demonstrate and audit exactly what was shared when and with whom in what format at any point back in time, the full pedigree and history of that data. If you can show and articulate all that, then folks can have that trust, they can place their trust in that data, they'll start using it. But in order to do that, it means there are some key considerations for your data in the context of your business goals in the data landscape. So your use cases and KPIs, as well as your types of data and how they'll become to you, how they're becoming to you, I mean, whether that's in real time or in batch. You need to ask questions around what are the goals that you have and by when do you need to have them achieved? What data do you need in order to achieve them? Where should the data live? Where can the data live? Where can the workloads run that use that data? Who needs to access either of them? What is the cost? What is the budget that we have for this? How does it fit with my networking cloud strategy? And what are the risks? And then if you've answered all these questions, answer the questions in the today, and then answer about how the future is going to look for each of these. Because that will allow you to put together your data strategy, your infrastructure strategy, your digital transformation strategy. But one thing that is adding to this complexity, this is now happening in just about any and every infrastructure. Hybrid cloud needs a suitable approach to handle data and analytics. All these questions about, can I audit my data? Can I trust my data? Can I track my data? Majority of organizations are thinking about this in the context of hybrid cloud, which is any combination of public cloud, one public cloud, multiple public clouds, perhaps on-premise resources like a data center or a private cloud, in any combination. How do you solve a riddle like that? Well, that's exactly where CDP or Cloudera Data Platform Hybrid Cloud comes in. CDP Hybrid Cloud is that hybrid data cloud, a platform that runs on any infrastructure, providing the same data services across all, whether that's data warehousing or data engineering or machine learning. And to do that with consistent security and governance across all. And it lets you move your data and analytics to where they are needed. It meets those needs of that de facto model, being able to deal with hybrid cloud. And it ensures you deliver the best of public and private cloud with the power of and. There's no more sacrificing the needs of the business due to the constraints of IT. CDP Hybrid Cloud delivers the flexibility your business demands and the simplicity IT requires. And that power of and comes through in many different benefits that you now have. It brings together these previously seemingly directly opposed needs and requirements that a business has. It's easier to build complex applications and simple dashboards. You have high performance and you can be cost effective when you need to. You've got faster time to business insights and you have increased IT control. That's something that IT is going to be very pleased about. You can use it for petabyte data scale, and you can use it for these bursty, smaller data jobs. It's purpose-built for data engineers and data scientists. And that power of and delivers the freedom of choice for analytics across the data lifecycle on both public and private cloud. But it really hinges on the fact of being able to truly understand your data, to know what you have, to be able to secure it and govern it. And as I said before, that's what we do with something called SDX. This is why we can support hybrid and multi-cloud to deploy data fabrics and analytics. SDX provides consistent security and governance for data everywhere. And it does that with just 5 key capabilities. It all starts with metadata. You know your data. You understand your data from a technical perspective and from a structural perspective. But there's much more information about your data. There's social metadata, information on how your employees, how your researchers, how they are using that data. The conversations that we're having over email, on Slack or in person in the office, we capture that as well. There's business metadata. It's all well and good to have these very obscure field names, but what does it actually mean from a business perspective in natural language? So we can find and understand the data that we're actually looking for in order to solve our challenges and solutions. Of course, there's security. Security, but with very dynamic, fine-grained access control applied consistently across all clouds in the data center. That makes sure that the right people have got access to the right data at all time. And even if your data moves between different infrastructures, that security, those data access policies move with it, and it's all audited. We can provide encryption of data at rest as well as in motion across the full stack. And we also gather a lot of insight into how the data is being used in your organization. You can get insight into how some of the queries are running and how they could be running better or where they should be running better. And finally, of course, governance. To articulate how data should be handled and to also prove that you're handling your data in line with regulation. SDX delivers that enterprise-grade auditing, lineage, and governance capabilities across the platform. And with this capability, all of a sudden working with your data, you can turn things very much on its head. You can do very proactive data governance in order to drive value and drive trust. And it all starts with onboarding your data. As you know, data volumes of any type are exploding, and quickly making that new data available to end users lets you capitalize on the flood. But traditionally, doing that for more data also meant you needed to exert more time and effort. SDX shortens both and starts to establish that consistent data security and governance. It classifies data, it finds sensitive data and tags a label onto it to say, you are sensitive data, you need to be treated differently. And it follows that data as it's moving through the life cycle. And with that, you can also associate policy-based data access rules. As your data is classified, as you know and understand your data, you can treat it different ways. You can say this group of users can see it in its natural form. This other group of users doesn't have access to it, even as that data gets derived. And with that, you can really start to open up data access to your end users and turn it from the users have to go and ask the business for access to data to, the users have to go and ask IT to access the data, to IT turning it and say, here's all the data, because we know and understand our data and we can apply the right data access policies. It makes it incredibly much faster to implement new use cases and implement these use cases along the life cycle. As I said before, solving your problems is not a case of just deploying a better data warehouse and calling it good. You need a range of integrated capabilities across all infrastructures that are self-service. You can start your own data warehouse. You can start your new machine learning environment as and when you need it. But you can do that with full confidence that you have data secure and governed. And that will allow you all of these aspects, that hybrid deployment, those analytics for the data lifecycle, that consistent security and governance, they all come together to be able to take that business data, which is wide, varied, and distributed, from wearable IoT devices to physician notes to patient records, clinical data, and everything in between. To take that business data and use the data services to implement the various business use cases. Whether that's genomic research, clinical trials, or health economics and object research. Being able to do that anywhere with an integrated lifecycle is easier and faster to use, to manage, and to secure. And based on our customers, we know which are the hot use cases to tackle. And to help guide companies through prioritizing the challenges they tackle, we've created maturity roadmaps like this one for life sciences and biopharma. It gives an overview around the complexity of implementing the use cases along the vertical axis and different business domains across the horizontal one, from R&D to medical and regional affairs to manufacturing, quality and supply chain through to corporate functions. And of course, different industries would have different domains. The use cases are color-coded to indicate the business drivers. Does it impact revenue, reduce cost, reduce risk, or do they simply transform the business? And size indicates the impact. It allows you to pick a path that ensures you deliver immediate value while also ensuring success by not immediately going for the hardest nut to crack. So on the corporate function side of things, maybe start with an ETL offload, which drives revenue before you start to fundamentally change the way you operate by evolving to work with real-time data streaming. Same on the R&D side. Think about reducing cost by looking at non-traditional data ingest first, before you tackle that risk-reducing, highly impactful multiomics, translational research, and precision medicine initiatives. You get the picture, but let's look at how some of our customers implemented our platform in order to deploy their use cases. Let's start with IQVIA. IQVIA is a global provider of advanced analytics, technology solutions, and contract research services to the life sciences industry. Formed through a merger of IMS Health and Quintilis, IQVIA helps companies improve clinical development and commercialization of new treatments, speed innovation, and accelerate research that lead to better healthcare outcomes. So much work is being done worldwide to reduce healthcare costs, to improve access to care, and to deliver new treatments, but progress can be slow. At IQVIA, executives are challenging the status quo using data and analytics. To innovate, IQVIA staff needed to explore and iterate on data much more quickly. Yet, with data spread across 250 data warehouses, ranging from Oracle to Netezza and Teradata, staff faced a variety of roadblocks. It took users days to copy data from silos into a single system before they could even get to their analysis. And even then, they often couldn't perform the type of analysis they wanted due to performance and scalability restraints. IQVIA created a modern data platform on Cloudera that is empowering BI staff, data scientists, and statisticians to build creative new solutions that help reduce costs, bring new drugs to market faster, and improve patient outcomes. Users can conduct high-performance self-service analytics, develop predictive algorithms using much larger data sets, and leverage anonymized, comprehensive patient insights for deeper, more accurate insight. Approximately 70 different teams with about 1,500 to 2,000 people use the platform, which brings together more than 2 petabytes of data from the company's 250 data warehouses worldwide, and enables staff to incorporate new data types, such as social media data. And today, IQVIA can generate insights from data for its customers in seconds rather than days, weeks, and months. This massive boost in performance enables life sciences companies to innovate faster and save lives. Great. So let's bring things to a close. Healthcare and life sciences can really benefit from data sharing and connected ecosystems to implement the most pressing and strategic use cases. The crux of it is being able to leverage that data, leverage trusted data, to accelerate innovation and support value-based health sciences, but combine it with an optimum use of IT resources. And that means using the right infrastructure for the right job at the right time, being able to work across hybrid cloud. And also with full appreciation of the compliance demands the industry, as well as local regulation imposes. To make compliance a side effect of using technology rather than a parallel and often overbearing task. And organizations can do just that with Cloudera Data Platform. It provides the data services for the data lifecycle, making it easier to go from ingestion of data, any data, to automation using machine learning and machine learning operations. To use data science and machine learning to accelerate insight for better user productivity and faster time to value. To be able to do that on any infrastructure across hybrid cloud in a consistent manner. To not have to redevelop each time you'd like to shift something to a new infrastructure, and to leverage existing investments and reduce risk. And do it with consistent security and governance. To simplify data protection, sharing, as well as compliance. And have compliance as a side effect, not a job in and of itself. And finally, to know that hundreds of healthcare and life science companies have gone before you, that Cloudera provides a trusted, proven platform. So with that, thank you for listening.
Thanks a lot for this insightful presentation. In just a matter of a minute, we divide the participants in different rooms.